Yes, that noise. If you've watched The Bear, you know what that noise is. I have not heard that whole song, but the first beginning part of that's like kind of like the main score to The Bear. Like they just take that little guitar part and they play it over and over, and that's just how you know things are really stressful. Oh, come on, chef! Corner, corner! Behind, chef! Come on, chef! I love it. I love it. I love The Bear. The Bear, I need to talk about right now. I did not know. Alright, so Bear came out about. When did season 2 come out? It came out recently. It came out like last week. I'm already done with it. I really wish it came out weekly, but apparently the first season wasn't weekly. So I guess I have nothing to complain about. But this show should be weekly because every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, finally, I'm back in this show. I don't even know how to start about how to say what it's about. It's not just about, like my brother had said before, what do I care about a chef show? It's not just a chef show. To quote Griffin Newman from one of my favorite podcasts, the Blank Check podcast, who probably quoted this from someone else, but I don't know who he quoted it from. He said this: films, it's a TV show, but films, it's not what it's about, it's how it goes about it. And that's what The Bear is. The Bear, yeah, it takes place in a Chicago kitchen, but it's really just about these people and how stressed out they are all the time. And I love it. It matches my mental energy. Like when I started the first episode, they were talking so fast, cutting so fast, just revving up the stress. I was like, oh, I felt like a frog in water, boiling water that was being boiled slowly or something. I was like, oh my god, my head can just plug into this show so easily because it is probably as crazy and stressed out as I normally am, just on the inside. It's so good. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna say the cast's name. I'm just gonna go straight down the list. Not because I think they're all super well known, but because I think they're all spectacular. You got Jeremy Allen White. He plays Carmy. He's the main guy, main chef. You got Ayo Edebiri. She is a new star. She's literally, when the first season came out last year, I was like, she's going to be a star. And now this year, she's already appeared on Abbott Elementary as a guest star. She has 2 movies coming out this summer. I think probably another TV show. She was on an episode of Black Mirror. I was right. She's effing blowing up. Oh my god. Oh, all these people. Matty Matheson. He's in it. I think he's a real life chef. Let me look at that. Yes. He was an executive chef at Parts and Labor, a restaurant located in Toronto, Canada. That's cool. Abby Elliott plays Sugar. She's really good, and she has just a heartbreaking second season. Liz, I don't want to mispronounce anybody's names. I'm going to click her name so I can get... Oh, it's not even broken up phonetically. Liza Colon-Zayas. She's amazing. I love her. She has probably the most expressive faces of all the cast. Oh my goodness. And I do not want to spoil. There is an episode in season 2, episode 6, where it is, you're literally like, what is with this cast? Why are all these people in one episode? It's literally like they asked like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 like just top tier actors, and I'm like, you guys want to just play around in this small cramped house and just be stressed out all day? And that's what it was like, and I loved it. But that wasn't even the best part. I rewatched season 1 of The Bear last year. I probably watched it 5 times over from beginning to end, because it's just, I used to love cooking shows when I was a kid. I used to watch Food Network a lot. I just like seeing people break down steps. I like looking at how they can make some pretty looking food and stuff. So there's that aspect. I love the movie Chef by Jon Favreau because that movie is probably just the most feel-good movie that can ever exist. This show is super stressful, but when it reaches, what this show does so well is it's stressful all the time. It sucks all the time. Everybody is like really they're trying not to pull their hair out, basically. But what I love about especially what season 2 does, is it explains why they endure all this garbage. Why would they put themselves through such torture? It's because they love it, they need it, they understand it, they want to make it their lives because they are passionate about it. And I love that aspect of the show. I love, like, I can't even spoil it. I don't want to spoil. There are so many things in this show that does. It took the first season, which I thought was a perfect first season, and it just made everything better, and they broke it down. They did what every season 2 does, especially season 2 to a great first season. They get a little bit more money, so they're gonna do some more crazy things. They're gonna just put everything into it, expand on some of these smaller characters or some of the side characters, and just blow them up. And it just does it so well. I don't know how to say anything else without saying spoilery things. I wanted to take my time with season 2. I really did, but I zoomed through it. I really did. I'm probably going to watch it again and again and again. I'm probably make Jacob watch it, even though he's probably going to hate it out of spite. I'm trying to just poke the bear. See, the bear came back again. Who's the guy who plays Richie? Iban Mos Bakrak. I did not know his name was that complicated. He played Micro in Punisher TV, the Punisher TV show, which his role as Micro in the Punisher TV show versus his role as Richie in The Bear they're completely different. Literally, just completely different. Also, this guy, he showed up on a few episodes of Andor, which I've been trying to get Jacob into also. And Andor is also spectacular and amazing, and he does a really great job in Andor also, which is just, I don't know if I would call him a star, like he's popping off as much as Io Edebiri is, but he's getting some work these days, I'll tell you that much. He's getting some good work. Oh boy, oh boy. Apparently the show, The Bear, is based off a real guy, real life Chicago shop owner, it's based off the real life Chicago shop called The Beef, run by Joe Zucchero. He still has not watched the show. I saw that in an interview recently. Let's see. Yes, yep. But yeah, I just love the show. It's the best. It's the best show that's on right now. I have to clarify a lot. Like, I always have a favorite show ever, and this is getting close. The only reason I cannot say that is because it's still on. I felt that way about Game of Thrones, and I'm glad I did not jump the gun and say Game of Thrones was like the best show ever, because towards the last few seasons it did fall apart. Like, I love how with stories, when it falls apart, it's bad. But with chicken, when it falls apart, it's good. You ever think about that? I think about that sometimes. I just want to say more things about it. Oh, the first season. I keep going back to the first season because I was scared. Especially, the first season was 8 episodes. Pretty tight, pretty concise, pretty good, and a little bit more funny. I've heard some complaints about this season not being as funny, which I don't mind that. I mean, I think there's humor, but I like this season a little bit more. There are 2 more episodes in this season. That scared me. I was also scared because I thought it was a little quick. I mean, I know TV, it comes out every year and all that stuff. But I did not realize... Well, but I also didn't watch the first season right away. I watched the first season about 6-ish months ago. So for me, it was like I watched the first season. Oh, what? There's a second season already? It's only been 6 months. But apparently, and I need to look this up also, Bear... I think The Bear has been breaking some records. Let's see. Give me the news. The Bear! Viewership spiked 70% with Season 2 launch, marking FX's most watched Hulu premiere. The Bear is FX's most watched Hulu premiere. That's insane. I also wonder how do they do The Bear on the network, on the show, on FX? Do they release that weekly? Or do they just, I don't know, dump all the episodes for one night or something? I don't know what they do on the show, on on the network. But then, man, 70% increase in total hour streams in the first 4 days. That is crazy. The Bear last year, a lot of people call it their favorite show of last year. Is definitely my favorite show of last year, or was second. This year, I don't even like. Oh,
I saw something the other day that was showing it was showing Netflix's shows, like the top watch hours within the first, I think, was it 28 hours? I don't, for some reason.
Mm.
And what I noticed a trend was later seasons of a show were higher up than earlier seasons. So when it comes to, so I was like, why? Usually, you take anything that people like. Usually, the first instance gets the most views, the second gets a little less, the next gets a little less because people don't stick on.
Mm.
You wouldn't expect the sequel to a movie to have more viewers than the first, because then why are people watching the second movie if they didn't see the first?
Right.
You would expect it to go smaller. Some of the people who saw the first aren't going to see the second.
But
the thing is, it was within the first, let's say it was 48 hours.
Mm.
It was within the first 48 hours. So I'm guessing what happens really is, as a show goes on, people binge it on its release more than they did with the first.
Yeah.
So like Stranger Things season 4 was much higher than the first season of Stranger Things.
Yes, exactly. And also word of mouth. And also, well, at first when Stranger Things was coming out, it was more yearly. But now that they have the cachet, it'll be like a year and a half, 2 years before you get another season. But when something like a Stranger Things season 4 comes out, after all that time and all the hype has been built up, when it comes out, it's an event. It's like, all right, drop what you're doing. Everybody's watching Stranger Things right now. And yeah, it is interesting. And something else about the Netflix, for Netflix, is when Sandman Season 1 came out, they were really clear. Neil Gaiman was really clear about what he needed for the show to possibly even get a second season. Most people have to watch the entire show from beginning to end within the first 3 weeks. If it can hold that, and if it can keep a lot of people doing that for that whole 3 weeks, it more than likely will get a second season. If it doesn't, it'll probably get canceled. But that is interesting. That is interesting. Especially for Netflix, because with Netflix, the thing with Netflix is they only have now even less, but only a few shows that they really hold that, like a Stranger Things. And I think, like you were saying, Stranger Things now is probably way more popular than it's ever been. And I think the same deal with The Bear. The first season, word of mouth definitely, like the fact that it has 70% spike, that is insane. Now, is that 70%? I wonder if that's compared to the first season. And total hours streamed in the first 4 days following.
You have to keep in mind the within first 4 days part is what I'm saying, because it's got more views in the first 4 days. That doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna have more views within its entire life. Like Stranger Things season 4 getting more views in its first 2 days than the first season doesn't mean a bunch of people started watching season 4 just skipping the first season. It's who's watching it when it releases on its release.
Be careful tapping the table. You're making it crunch. You'd know that if you had your headphones on. But no, yeah, I get that, but it also is a metric. Well, and granted, it's a little hard to measure since it's a season 2, because all you have to compare it to is season 1, and if season 1 was like a mediocre release because nobody effing knew what it was, and then season 2 comes out and people are like, oh, I actually know what this is, I'm gonna watch it. I do think that is a crazy spike. And also, I think the reason season 1 did so well is not just because it got that many viewers and the word of mouth, but also the rewatchability factor. That's another thing with some of these shows, and I think that's where Netflix kind of hurts a little bit. I don't, like, when I finish Stranger Things, I don't go back ever to rewatch the old seasons. I think I did once in college to rewatch season 1 and prep for season 2. But now I sort of just turn it on. I think season 4 literally had like a 10 to 15 minute recap of the entire show up to that point. So they know nobody's going back to rewatch them, I think. I'm sure some people do, but not as much. And yeah, I know it says the first 4 days, and I think that's where these streamers get a lot of their hype built, because they always have a little asterisk being like, "Oh, look how popular it is," kinda. But I think this is. I mean, they said alone, this is the biggest opening on Hulu in FX's history, which is insane. Especially if you think about this. Also, Always Sunny came out a couple weeks ago. Granted, different type of show, but it's season 16. Granted, that's a lot of seasons, so maybe people just care less because it's just going to be there all the time. Like, oh, I'll catch it when I catch it. I wonder if people knew that it was going to be all episodes of The Bear, or if they thought it was only going to be one episode also. Because if they only thought it was only going to be one episode, that could also factor into it. I just think that's interesting. I love the show. I'm glad it's doing well. We're moving on to the